You think confidence is something you find. That somewhere out there, hidden in the right book, the right seminar, the right motivation, lies the secret that will finally make you feel worthy. But that's the trap. Confidence isn't found. It's forged. And the forge isn't a comfortable place. It's built in the moments you'd rather run from, in the silence where your mind screams doubt, in the repetition of actions that terrify you. The Stoics understood this deeply. They didn't wait to feel ready. They didn't chase validation. They walked directly into discomfort and built themselves there. This isn't about positive thinking. This is about confronting the truth of who you are and who you're capable of becoming. In the next 11 minutes, you'll learn how. Marcus Aurelius was the most powerful man in the known world, yet he wrote to himself every night about fear, weakness, and mortality. Seneca was a wealthy advisor who constantly reminded himself that everything could be taken away. Epictetus was born a slave and became one of history's greatest teachers of inner freedom. These men didn't preach confidence because they had none to give. They practiced it because they knew what you're beginning to understand now. Confidence is not a feeling. It's a decision repeated so many times it becomes your nature. The Stoics called this voluntary discomfort. They exposed themselves to hardship intentionally, not to suffer, but to remove the fear of suffering. When you stop needing comfort, you stop being controlled by fear. And when fear no longer controls you, confidence isn't something you chase. It's something you embody. That's the shift. That's where real power begins. Let's destroy the lies you've been sold. First, confidence is not genetic. You weren't born with or without it. It's trained. Second, confidence doesn't come from success. If it did, every successful person would be confident, and we both know that's not true. Third, you don't need to believe in yourself first. That's backwards. Belief follows proof. You act first, then you believe. The world has taught you to wait until you feel confident before you move. That's why you're stuck. Because feelings don't lead. Actions do. You've been conditioned to think confidence is loud, aggressive, showy. It's not. Real confidence is quiet. It doesn't need to prove itself because it's already been tested. It doesn't announce itself because it has nothing to defend. Confidence built on validation crumbles the moment that validation is removed. Confidence built on repeated action in the face of fear becomes unshakable. Stop waiting for permission from your emotions. They will never give it. Start moving anyway. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." That's the price. You will be judged. You will feel exposed. You will doubt yourself in real time. And that's exactly where confidence is built. Fear isn't the enemy. Avoidance is. Every time you step back from fear, you teach yourself that you can't handle it. Every time you step into it, even badly, even clumsily, you prove the opposite. The Stoics didn't try to eliminate fear. They used it as information. Fear shows you where growth lives. It marks the boundary of your comfort and dares you to cross it. Most people spend their entire lives respecting that boundary. They build careers, relationships, identities, all within the safe zone. And they wonder why they feel small. Because they are. Not in worth, but in experience. You expand by doing what scares you. Not once. Not when you feel ready, repeatedly, methodically, without drama. That's how you become dangerous. Dangerously confident. Confidence is a muscle. It grows under resistance. You don't build it by thinking about it. You build it by lifting the weight, again and again, until what once crushed you becomes easy to carry. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Your mind will always exaggerate the danger. It will always overestimate the cost and underestimate your capacity. That's its job. Your job is to act anyway. Start small if you have to. Speak up in one meeting. Make one cold call. Have one difficult conversation. The size of the action doesn't matter. The repetition does. Because every time you do the thing that scares you and survive, you rewrite the story your brain tells about who you are. You stop being the person who avoids. You become the person who moves. And that identity shift is everything. It's not built in a single moment of courage. It's built in 1,000 small decisions to not turn away. That's the training. That's the path. The Stoics didn't believe in grand transformations. They believed in daily practice. Marcus Aurelius didn't wake up one day as a philosopher king. He became one through years of small, consistent choices aligned with his principles. You don't need a massive leap. You need a single step, repeated until it becomes automatic. Then another. One conversation. One boundary set. One fear faced. One day of discipline. These aren't impressive on their own. But compounded over weeks, months, years, they become unstoppable momentum. Most people fail because they try to change everything at once. They set impossible standards, fail within days, and return to old patterns with new shame. The Stoic way is different. It's ruthlessly realistic. It asks, what can I do today that moves me forward, even slightly? And then it does that. Without celebration. Without expectation of reward. Just quiet, relentless progress. That's how inner strength is built. Not in the spotlight. Not in the highlight reel. In the unremarkable, unglamorous repetition of right action. Day after day. Without exception. Motivation is a spark. Discipline is the fire that never goes out. Motivation feels good. It's emotional, exciting, temporary. Discipline doesn't care how you feel. It shows up regardless. And that's why it wins. The Stoics understood that relying on emotion makes you weak. Because emotions change. What excites you today bores you tomorrow. What inspires you this week terrifies you the next. If your confidence depends on how you feel, you'll spend your life on an emotional roller coaster, strong one moment, fragile the next. Discipline removes that vulnerability. It creates structure. It makes action inevitable, not optional. When you build the habit of doing hard things regardless of mood, you stop negotiating with yourself. You stop needing permission. You just move. And over time, that becomes who you are. Not someone who sometimes feels confident. Someone who acts confidently regardless of feeling. That's permanent. That's power. Seneca said it clearly. Most powerful is he who has himself in his power. Discipline gives you that. Nothing else does. You will fail, often, publicly, painfully. And that's not a problem unless you make it one. The Stoics didn't fear failure because they didn't define themselves by outcomes. They defined themselves by effort, by intention, by how they responded. Marcus Aurelius lost battles. Seneca lost fortunes. Epictetus lost his freedom. And yet they're remembered as titans of inner strength. Because they understood that failure is just feedback. It's not a reflection of your worth. It's information about what needs adjustment. When you fail and quit, you confirm the fear that you're not capable. When you fail and continue, you prove the opposite. You show yourself that failure isn't fatal. That rejection isn't destruction. That embarrassment isn't the end. Most people protect their ego so carefully that they never test it. They never find out how resilient they actually are. You're different. You're going to fail forward. You're going to collect rejections like data. You're going to treat every setback as training. And slowly, failure will lose its power over you. That's freedom. You've been taught backwards. You think you need to feel confident before you act confidently. That's why you wait. That's why you hesitate. But the Stoics knew the truth. Emotion follows action, not the other way around. You don't wait to feel brave. You act bravely, and the feeling catches up. This is neurological fact. Your brain interprets your behavior and builds identity from it. When you act like someone confident, your nervous system begins to believe it. When you repeatedly do hard things, your brain recalibrates what's normal. What once triggered panic becomes routine. The person you're becoming isn't found in your thoughts. It's found in your actions. Stop waiting for the feeling. Start creating the evidence. Speak when you're scared. Move when you're uncertain. Decide when you're confused. Your emotions will adapt. They always do. And one day, you'll notice the fear is still there, but you're no longer controlled by it. That's confidence. That's mastery. Confidence isn't a destination. It's a practice. Every single day you choose. You either move toward fear or away from it. Toward growth or comfort. Toward the person you're capable of becoming or the person you've always been. The Stoics left you a path. Walk it, not loudly. Not for applause, but for yourself. For the quiet knowledge that you are becoming someone you respect. If this resonated, subscribe to Anonymous Achiever. Not for me, for you. Because the algorithm will forget, but your discipline won't. Keep moving. Keep building. And remember, confidence isn't found. It's forged. One decision at a time.